Hey, this is Evan Marquette, dating coach for smart, strong, successful women, your personal trainer for love. Welcome back to the Love You podcast, December edition. We are going to be talking today about how to stop overthinking relationships. You'd think this podcast would go on for about 2 hours, but we don't want to overthink overthinking. So we're going to make it tight because I know you're a busy woman. You got stuff to do. If you are a fan of the Love You podcast, I really want you to stick around till the end of this episode because I'm going to be dropping some important knowledge today that you're going to immediately be able to implement. A lot of podcasts do a lot of talking and they don't give you much practical advice. Not that I listen to other dating podcasts, but I really want you, every time you listen to this, to be able to get a takeaway that you can use in your real life that's going to impact the way you see yourself, dating relationships, and men. Um, in Love You, we have a phrase. It's not really a phrase. It's when someone goes into our private Facebook group, this beautiful Love You community with all these happily married women who've taken the course and come back to support other women. And some new person comes in and writes like 1,000-word question. Uh, so I've been seeing this guy, and it's been 2 months, and I mean he's my boyfriend, and he's talking about a future with me, and everything's been going really, really great. And so it's this long, long, long story, and the punchline is something like, the last time he emailed, the last time he texted me, he didn't say love or something like that, or it's been 6 hours and I haven't heard from him. Right? What should I do? We just write OT, right? Like the community OT. You're overthinking, meaning there's nothing actually going on here. The only problem is the one that you're creating in your head. And that's not easy because there's a reason that you're that way. There's a reason that you overthink. It's not madness. It's completely normal for people to overthink when they don't have confidence and they don't trust their own judgment with the opposite sex. But sometimes you need some from the outside to say, hey, actually everything's really good. He's good, you're good. There's nothing to see here. And so to me, there are two forms of overthinking. They are both equally pernicious in a way. And that's sort of what I want to focus on. I'm going to focus more on the second one than the first one. The first one is the one I was talking about. It's the anxious attachments type in general who starts to date a secure guy and mistakes him for the avoidant guy because she's seen the behavior before. And the avoidant guy, remember, is the guy who acts like he wants intimacy, but always undermines it, yo-yos you, pulls you away. That's bad, that's bad boyfriend behavior. But then you find a guy who's really secure and he does something that seems like it might be a hint of what the old avoidant guy does. And then you start to treat the secure guy like the avoidant guy, right? Oh, he hasn't texted me for 4 hours. Well, he's at work, right? He's watching a movie. Like there's an explanation. If he loved you yesterday, there's a really good chance that he's going to love you today and tonight and tomorrow. And so we become our own worst enemies when we start to think the worst of benign situations, right? I can make up more. They're not scripted here. Just um, guys in time. This is also a sensitive issue. Not everybody agrees with me on, but guy is in touch with his ex-wife, and so he has a pleasant conversation with her, and they're going to be going out to dinner with their adult daughter. A lot of people think that he shouldn't talk to his ex-wife. He shouldn't have good relationships with his ex-wife, when in fact him having a good relationship with his ex-wife is super important. He's not going back to her. That's why she's the ex-wife. But he should be able to say, I'm going out to dinner with my ex-wife, and it not become a problem for you. For insecure people, for anxious people, everything is a potential problem. Everything is a potential warning sign. Everything is a thing to latch onto and blow up and engage in protest behavior to make a big deal to see if he capitulates to your insecurities and capitulates to your fears and your demands. And that's part of why people come here, is just to have a guy be like, yes, this is weird and shady. Pay attention, act on that, be the CEO. And no, this is pretty normal guy behavior. And just, you know, right now we need to calm your nervous system down because he actually hasn't done anything wrong. It's in your head. The other kind of overthinking, I think, Might not be the dictionary definition of overthinking. I think it might be more dangerous. It's where you analyze a failing relationship to death, right? Where you're in a relationship that's not making you happy, and you think and think and think and rationalize and rationalize and rationalize, and you spend a lot of time in your head, right? Thinking about, should I stay? Should I go? Should I say something? Should I not? Is this the thing that's going to break me up? And what you're doing, this, again, it's a different kind of overthinking. You're overthinking your own feelings. Your feelings are telling you that you are not happy in a relationship, but your brain says, maybe this is the best I can do. Maybe we can get back to the way it was the first few months. Maybe he's going to change. Maybe this amazing weekend together is going to be the thing that rekindles us. Maybe the fact that he's smart and funny and successful uh, means that this is just what you have to put up with because everybody's got flaws, right? And so then you find yourself in relationships with guys where you are consistently unhappy, sweeping the negative under the rug for years, decades. So that's why here in Love You community, we focus for something that's kind of cerebral, the way we analyze dating. We focus on your feelings first and foremost because your feelings don't lie. Imagine, and you don't have to work hard to imagine it. I think you'll be able to summon it really quickly. Think of a relationship where either it was once good, right, where you had a good 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, right? Or imagine a relationship that is good 50% of the time. When we're together, things are great, but I don't see him for 2 weeks. Or, you know, every few weeks we'll have an amazing date night. We'll have amazing sex. We'll do something with the kids that remind me why I fell in love with him, right? So we have these little markers of what could be, right? And that's like it's a little drug that says, you know what, I could withstand the pain, right? And that is also really dangerous because very specifically, you're in pain a majority of the time. So I use numbers a lot to describe, like again, dating coach is a made up job, right? Like there's psychologists who do dating coaching, but dating coaching is a made up job. So I make up a lot of terminology to sort of describe things. And sometimes the easiest terminology is the crudest terminology, right? If you go to a doctor, they say, how intense is the pain on a 1 to 10 scale? We do this sort of the same thing here, right? So I'll talk to someone who's in a relationship and you'll ask her how happy she is. And she doesn't want to answer because she knows the answer's not pretty. She's not happy. How do I know that? People in happy relationships don't call dating coaches, like ever. There's never been a happily married couple or just a happy couple in general who calls me. People call me as the last resort to mirror back to them, yes, you're unhappy, and that you've been in good relationships before. It may have been a long time, but you remember what it's like when things are going on all cylinders and how it feels. And so, how long have you been the frog that's been boiling in the pot? How long have you normalized this behavior where he's disdainful for you, or he's too busy for you, or he yells at you, or he belittles you, or he breaks up and makes up, or doesn't prioritize you, or doesn't listen to your emotional needs? And when I do a laundry list like that, which just pours out of me, that describes a lot of people's relationships. It describes a lot of marriages, but it also just describes a lot of people's relationships, and we learn to live with that. So when we talk about the numbers, a good relationship should be easy like 90% of the time. It's again, it's a made up metric. It's not real. Life is hard, but if you have the right partner and you're pulling in the same direction and you're on the same team, then most of the time you're turning towards each other. You're taking care of each other. You're compromising for each other. It doesn't require great strain. It doesn't require couples counseling, right? You're going to marry someone who's flawed. They're marrying someone who's flawed, but the flaw is the 90% and The flaw is the 10% and the rest is the 90%, and the 90% easily outweighs the 10%. If you're in a relationship where the ratio is nowhere close to 90% good, I submit you might be able to have a better relationship and you won't have to spend so much time thinking about your relationship. I spend zero time thinking about my relationship with my wife. It is as solid as the floor underneath my feet. What a blessed event. Why? Because life is hard, right? Making money is hard. Raising kids is hard. Reading the news is hard. Right? There's a lot of things you can't control. Sickness, aging, hard. Right? So why wouldn't I want to have something that's easy and stable, right, inside my life every second of every day? The baseline, the anchor, the rock. And that's why there's so much language to describe this. So last week I spoke with this is all I do is I talk to women and they call me to tell me about their problems. The wisest ones are the ones who sign up for coaching. Most people just get on the phone and then bounce and go right back to their old way of doing things. And that's really painful for me because it would be like going to a doctor who's like, you have lung cancer. And then you're like, thank you, doctor. I'm going to smoke through the hole in my nose, in my neck for the rest of my life. So I spoke with one woman last week who has been living with her boyfriend for 4 years and she's never been happy. 4 years and can't recall a time where they were ever really a healthy couple. They just moved really fast, got on this train, and now it's 4 years later and she's still unhappy. But the pain is even worse, but she doesn't realize she has the power to exit the relationship at any point in time. Right? They're not married, they don't have kids. She could exit any point in time. It's actually relatively simple, but for her, it's very, very hard. Right? Talk to another, she's with a man. These are now clients of mine, with a man for 9 months. If you're with a man for 9 months and you sign up for dating coaching, there's a good indication that that's probably not the right man for you because you don't feel safe, heard, and understood. So she's got a boyfriend and he's got good qualities. That's why she's with him. She's attracted to him. He's, basically nice to her when they're together, but they're not on the same page in terms of what they want in a relationship, either now, where she's not getting her needs met, or even in the long term, they're not on the same page. So why does she stay with him? Well, he was the guy who was there after the divorce, and having someone is better than having no one. And, so women just keep on lowering the floor for what you come to expect from men. And again, it'd be easy to blame men. I could blame men. There's nothing to learn from that. If there's some guy who can call you once every 2 weeks, have sex with you, and have you be devoted to him, and you don't ask him for any more, and he doesn't need any more from you. He just literally wants to see you every 2 weeks and deal with your texts a few times a week, and right, really casual relationship. If you agree to those terms, he's got no incentive to renegotiate those terms. And so way too many women are getting into situationships with guys and finding themselves anxious and unhappy and thinking about the relationship all the time. There's nothing to fucking think about. You're not happy. You're listening to a dating coach's podcast. You're signing up for dating coaching. These are all signs that your relationship is probably not worth clinging to or preserving. It's like clinging to cancer when the thing to do is actually try to figure out how to get rid of it. So have you ever spent too much time in your head in the relationship? Are you doing that right now? Is that a thing that's familiar to you from the past, where you're in your head thinking about what you should do, what you should say, what's going to make him change? How could you love him more? How can you make him realize how great you guys are? Right? Any relationship that's depending upon him changing for you, it's probably not going to have the happy ending that you think it's going to have. Right? So I, the moment of truth, I bring this out to everybody. I bring it out to clients, but I'll bring it out to you here. I'll ask anybody, if you're in a dissatisfying romantic relationship at this juncture in time, ask yourself, if nothing were to change, would you be content being in this relationship for the rest of your life? If the answer is no, and the answer is pretty much always no, why are you still there? Because every second you're with the wrong guy is the second you're not looking for the right guy. All right. Your relationship is dependent upon him changing, evolving, becoming someone different, becoming emotionally available, becoming kinder, becoming more patient, becoming more communicative, becoming more relationship oriented, becoming more talkative, becoming more responsible. You're not changing the guy. You're just not. It's like that. It's not on the table. This is it. The first few weeks, months of courtship is, that's the exciting getting to know you phase. That's the illusion. What you have now is the reality. So if you're 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years into a relationship, and you already see who he is the Maya Angelou quote, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. So you have all the evidence in the world, right? Why do you cling to it? I've said this on the podcast before, but in over 20 years of doing this, I've never had a woman come to me with a guy and end up with the guy that she came to me with. So I'm seeing this guy and, right, what should I do? And remember, my job is not to break people up. I have no interest in breaking up a healthy, happy relationship. Right? Don't think that all couples should break up at the hint of trouble. I don't think that marriage counseling is a sham if people are both bought into it. Like, all of those things are true. But in general, the people who listen to me, read me, come here are all in their head, justifying, rationalizing, bending over backwards. Why? To ignore the sinking feeling they have in their heart that this guy that you love is not the one who's going to take care of you for the rest of your life. Because if he was, you'd already feel taken care of. You'd already feel safe, heard, and understood. You'd already know that you could say whatever you want to him and it's going to be okay, and that he's not going to get angry, and he's not going to withdraw, and he's not going to leave you, and he's not going to lash out, and he's not going to judge you. But you don't have that feeling because you know who you have. And you could turn it over and you could hold it up to the light. You could look at it in any way that you want, but you always land in the same place. This relationship, this man that I'm dating, seeing, sleeping with, married to, isn't the one for me. And I need to have the courage to not only admit that, but extricate myself from that situation, right? And figure out how to not make the same mistake the next time around. And that is exactly what we do here, right? As I said, I mentioned two clients who came to me in relationships. Undoubtedly, the first few months of our work are going to be getting them the courage, right, to figure out how to use the language to separate themselves from the situation that's not serving them well and find a partner who has a lot of the same qualities as the other guy, but has all of the above: character, kindness, consistency, communication, commitment, connection, right? Not just occasionally, not just in moments when it's good, not just twice a month, every day. Because if you're not getting it every day, you're not serving yourself. You're lowering your standards for what you come to expect from men. And my clients are smart, strong, successful women. My clients are CEOs and doctors and nurses and C-suite executives and college-educated professionals who own their own homes, who've got one really strong muscle when it comes to work and their competency there. And in this, for some reason, not your fault, keep on lowering your standards for men. So please take this to heart. If you find yourself in your head all the time about your relationship, there's a pretty good chance it's not a relationship that's worth preserving. Right? Come to me, I'll show you how to find a better man, a better relationship, and have the feeling of being loved and supported instead of the draining feeling of wondering why relationships are so damn hard. They don't have to be hard. It's a choice. My name is Evan Marc Katz. I'm a dating coach for smart, strong, successful women. This is the Love You Podcast. I thank you for listening. If you enjoyed today, share this with a friend, especially this one. Share it with a friend. Leave us a kind review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And most importantly, if you want to take action, not just listen, but do something differently, go to my website, take my quiz. You can go to evanmarkatz.com/quiz, or you can just go directly to the website. The quiz is going to tell you if you've been wasting your time on the wrong men. You'll be surprised at the answer. Maybe you won't be surprised at the answer, but go take my quiz, get on my mailing list. I'll send you some free stuff with some goodies. And sure enough, maybe we can turn your love life around so you can be as optimistic about love as I am. Finally, if you don't feel like taking any quizzes and you just want to get on the phone with me, go to www.evanmarkatz.com/now. That will take you to a page where you could book a free consultation to figure out if coaching is a good fit for you. I look forward to connecting with you and showing you a path to happiness. You deserve it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.